So let's talk about inorganics for a little bit. Inorganics. So by now everybody knows we have organics and inorganics, right? And inorganics are also called iron oxides and minerals. So iron oxides, minerals, inorganics, all are the same exact thing, same type of pigment, just three different terms to describe that type of pigment. And then the second type of pigment is organic. And then now there's a third type of pigment, I would say, with the hybrid line, combining inorganics and organics. But with hybrids, like, what qualifies a true hybrid? Does it have to be a balance, like close to a 50-50, like 50% organic, 50% inorganic, to qualify for to be titled a hybrid? What if the pigment line has 80% inorganic and only 20%, what'd I say? 80% inorganic and only 20% organic. Is it still a hybrid? Should we title that a hybrid line, or should we be describing that as predominantly inorganic with some organics to balance? Right? So there's no standard on percentages of inorganics versus organics within a color. There are no standards on what qualifies that as a hybrid. Because I see the word hybrid being used a lot, but then when you look at the CI numbers, it's mostly inorganic with just a little bit of organics, or vice versa. It's mostly organic with a little bit of inorganic, yet they're calling it a hybrid. And that can just be confusing. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it can be confusing. And this is just something that I've been wondering the last few months. It's just something I personally have been wondering and thinking about, because I just think it's worth thinking about. And maybe there should be a standard. Like, what does it have to be, like 50-50 or 60-40 balance? Like, what's the balance between the two to qualify it as a true hybrid versus being predominantly one with a little bit of the other? I just think it's an interesting topic, and maybe we should be thinking about that as an industry. And because LI Aqua, right, that is inorganic, but there are some organic colorants in there. But I really wouldn't call it a hybrid, or can I call it a hybrid? It's predominantly inorganic with some organics in there. Especially, we have a wonderful, yummy organic yellow. Couple of different organic yellows that we use, which really helps make the colors and tones rich, and it helps with stable aging. So we do incorporate some organics into the aqua line for balance and aging, but it's predominantly inorganic. So do we call LI Aqua a hybrid, or do we describe it as predominantly inorganic with some organics added for balance and harmony, right? And the reason I started thinking about this is because we have LI Aqua, which is just that. We have Loaded, which is 100% organic, with the exception of titanium, for opacity and to lighten some of the other colors. And I'm developing my own line right now, the OMG Brow Pigment line, which some of the shades are going to be closer to a 50-50 balance between the two. And some of the shades are going to be predominantly inorganic with some organic to balance. So it's interesting. It's just really interesting. That's what got me think. See, I'm a manic thinker. I get these little thoughts in my head, and then they just start growing and growing and growing. but I like talking about this stuff. So I don't know. I'd love for our listeners to weigh in. Look, we love for you listeners to weigh in. We really, really do. And we read every single comment. So I want to hear you guys. What are your thoughts? Should there be some standards when it comes to titling a line hybrid? And what should the balance between the two types of pigments be for it to be called a hybrid? Because right now, there's no standard. So anything, if it has, 90% organic and 10% inorganic, that's being called a hybrid right now. And then some lines are more 50-50, some shades are more 50-50, or some lines are a little bit closer to 50-50, and that's being called a hybrid. So I'm just wondering and thinking maybe we should set like a standard. Maybe there should be another name when it's outside of like a 50-50 or closer to a 50-50 balance between the two. Maybe we call it something else. I don't know. What would we call it though, if it's not a hybrid? Almost hybrid?
Almost hybrid.
Could have been a hybrid.
I like that.
But yeah, I mean, maybe there should be another name, because I never felt comfortable calling aqua a hybrid, because it's closer to an inorganic. It's mostly predominantly inorganic with some organics. So it never just felt right or comfortable for me to call it a hybrid. A hybrid. To me, a hybrid is like closer to a 50-50 balance. So we'll have to think of something really cool. I don't know, unless you have some, Willow. No? No? Okay, almost hybrid.
Almost hybrid. I was just thinking that predominant, that really feels like the best way to describe it. Like it makes the most sense, but it's so long to like say that it's predominantly inorganic with some organic. Like that just feels like such a exhausting way.
It's a long, exhausting way, and I've been saying it a long time. So imagine how exhausted I am. Yeah, I'm really exhausted from it. But predominantly inorganic with some organics for balance and harmony. It's a beautiful sentence. Yeah, but you're right, Willow. It exhausts me.
It's a little long.
It's a little long. And right now with people's attention span, I mean, they don't even read the whole damn sentence, do they? No, because they're saying like your TikTok video should only be 6 seconds because they only watch 3 seconds. Like the attention span of people are like, it's only 6 seconds. So are they even reading that whole sentence? Maybe not.
Maybe that's why they're calling them hybrids.
Maybe that's why they're calling them hybrids, right? Because the attention span of like people today. That's funny. That's really funny. But so some people think inorganics are harder to implant. And I don't think they are, but probably because I've been using both organic and inorganic most of my career, 18, 20 years, I've always been almost all organic for lips. And years ago, I got into an organic line for brows, certainly use carbon for eyeliner. And then for my brows, I switched. I started trying inorganics, and I ended up preferring the inorganics for most of my clients. I certainly will use an organic for some of my clients, but I'm very strategic with my clients in the skin type on what type of skin I'll use an organic and what type of skin I think an inorganic is going to be much, much better. But some people coming from organic, if that's all they've ever used for brow colors is organic, and then they're coming over to aqua or an inorganic line because inorganics are starting to be popular, right? The industry has finally listened to me, Olivia. They finally listened to me. But the importance of both, right? Because the industry got, a few years ago, the industry just got so hooked on organic. It was organic. They thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. And they soon learned once they started seeing healed results, maybe 5 years later, they learned, ooh, okay. Taryn was right. Not just me, but lots of people were like, be careful who you use organics on. We've learned this. We already, we already learned this. But the industry realized that organics are not the best or ideal choice for some skin types. And you're much better off with an inorganic. But so I think when artists are only used to organics and now they're going to an inorganic line, they're really struggling implanting them. And they are two different types of pigments. The particle size in inorganics is a little bit bigger than the particle size of organics. But I want to really clear something up because there is some misinformation out there and that I'm seeing a lot. And so when it comes to particle size, when you're talking black carbon, which is an organic, that particle size of black carbon and organic is really, really, really small. It's the smallest of all the colors, both types of pigments. It's the smallest, with titanium being the biggest. But let's stay with carbon. It's really super tiny. That's why it can migrate. Okay, now, stay with me. When it comes to the colored pigments, reds, oranges, yellows, the colored, the chromium, the greens, the colors that we use or manufacturers use to create all the tones, the brown tones, the taupes, the blondes that we use on our clients. When it comes to those colors, those colorants, organic and inorganic, the colored pigments, everything outside of black carbon, yes, the particle size of inorganics is bigger, but not a lot. Like what's being put out there. Not a lot. They're not a lot bigger. When it comes to the colored colorants in both inorganic and organic, there's not a big, massive difference in particle size. Inorganics are a little bit bigger. And organics are a little bit smaller, but not this massive difference in particle size. Not like carbon versus, inorganic black. Carbon's really, really small, so let's put carbon off to the side. I'm talking colored pigments in organic and inorganic. And within the inorganic line, all the different colorants, it's not one particle size across the board. The particle size, it varies. They're about medium, but they vary a little bit. And then all the colorants, different colorants in the organic range, same thing. They're a little bit smaller than the inorganics, and they vary as well. So not a big difference in size. And I want all you to hear that, because I think when you hear, well, yeah, inorganics are really hard to implant because the particle size is really big. Well, not when it comes to all the colors and you're comparing it to everything organic minus the carbon. And I hope that makes sense. Did you follow that? Did you? Yeah. So, but I think sometimes it just takes a seed being planted. Like someone can see that somewhere. Oh, organics have this big, huge particle size, so they're really hard to implant. And then that seed's planted. And then you believe that. So then when you try inorganic, that's what you experience. I think that can be the power of the mind. And we can buy into that. But that's not really true. Again, yes, inorganics, the particle size is a little bit bigger, but not a whole lot bigger, like some people think. So, and so you do have to adjust your pressure a little bit, but not like a whole lot. So working with the two, which I jump back and forth from quite often, and all my artists do here, and several artists do, it's with ease now. We can move back and forth between an organic and an inorganic brow color with ease. And it's just as easy to work with one or the other once you get used to it. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I don't want anybody out there being discouraged to try an inorganic because you're hearing that it's really hard to implant. Because I'm telling you, it's not. It just requires like a little bit more pressure maybe. You know, or maybe go up to a bigger needle. I did see someone suggest that you change machines and use a machine with a 4 millimeter stroke setting. And I went, ooh, I don't know about that. Because when it comes to stroke settings on machines, a 4 millimeter stroke setting, that means that machine, that needle is hitting the skin really hard versus like a 2 or 2.5 stroke setting. That needle is going to hit softer. So to just blanketly suggest, well, when you're using inorganics, get a machine with a 4-point stroke setting, I don't really think that's good advice, because what if you have skin? What if you're working on somebody that's super fragile, super thin, mature? A 4 millimeter, a 4 stroke setting, that's just going to hit that skin too hard. So you have to think about that. And very seldom in PMU on the face are we using a 4 stroke setting. We use it a lot in body tattooing, you know, because we're on body skin that, you know, it's tougher. You know, when I was working on, when I would do the rib cage or areas of the body where the skin was much thinner, you know, I would set my coil machine. Well, I had like 5 or 6 coil machines. And I would, you know, use one of my machines that had a softer hit because I'm on really thin skin. And then when I was on thicker skin or working over scars, then I would use my coil machine that was set at more of a, you know, between a 4 and a 5 stroke setting. So we have to think about all that, you know, and I find just about every topic in this industry, a blanket statement, blanket advice. It doesn't, advice doesn't apply to every situation, to every client, to every face. So maybe there's some clients that could handle the harder hit of a 4 millimeter stroke setting, but there are certainly tons of clients that no way, that's just going to hit their face way too hard. Like I said, if they're fragile, older, thin, you do not want a needle hitting that skin like that hard. I know it's just not best for that particular skin type. So I would suggest I use the same machine, same stroke setting when I'm using an organic or an iron oxide. I don't have to change my stroke setting. If I don't have to change my stroke setting, then you don't have to change your stroke setting. You know, I use like between like a 2.5 and a 3.5 stroke setting, and they all work fine for both inorganic and organic. Like I said, you might have to change your technique a little bit, maybe a little bit more pressure. The two different types of pigment are different, and you do work with each one of them differently. I'm not ignoring that. Or suggesting that you don't. What I am suggesting is not this big, massive difference and big jumps in your pressure, or jumping all the way to a 4 millimeter is necessary. It's smaller to more moderate adjustments in the way you work when you're working with an organic versus an inorganic. So I hope you all followed me there. I don't know how many times I said inorganic and organic in the last 10 minutes, but I bet you it was a lot.
comment if you counted them. Let us know how many.
Yeah, right. Someone's going to go back. We should give a prize if you count how many times I said inorganic and organic. Yeah, but then I don't want to have to go in and count to see if they're right.
I think that'd fall on me, Taryn.
That would fall on you, Willow, and you've got that kind of mind that you would probably like totally dig it and get off on it. You'd love it.
It's going to be easy. So yeah, comment. We'll figure out a giveaway to give you.
Yeah.
If you get the right number, I will know.
How about my color theory course?
Yeah, I think that's a great giveaway.
I talk about organics and inorganics.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And if they took my color theory course, even 2 weeks ago, right? Well, no, because they automatically got moved over to my new one. But if they took my color theory course over a year ago and they didn't renew, yeah, they have not. They took the old color theory course, which is good. But my new one, I just spent a year and a half. It's like so expanded. It's like color theory 5.0. I added so much stuff in there because it's been 9 years. It was ready. It was time. It was actually probably overdue to really expand that, refresh it, add to it, because the industry has changed a lot in the last 9 years. And it's not that like the fundamentals, what was fundamentally correct back then in universal information is still fundamentally correct in universal information today. But in this version, this updated version, I just got to address so many new things that we've experienced as an industry with all the new pigments and everything we've learned. And me as an artist, I've spent the last nine years tattooing tons and tons and tons of faces. And, so I've learned a lot more. So, yeah, check out that color theory course. So count inorganic and inorganic, leave it in the comments, and whoever gets it right, you think that's funny. Is that almost cruel?
You said inorganic twice. So inorganic and organic.
Yeah, inorganic and organic. See, I'm all messed up. My mouth's dry. I just got off a Instagram live with Texas De La Rosa, and then I come straight to a podcast, and my mouth is dry, and yeah. But, okay, so count inorganic and organic and leave it in the comments. And whoever's right, we're going to upload them to the brand new Beyond the Epidermis Color Theory course. We also asked listeners to weigh in on the hybrid thing and what qualifies a hybrid. What should the percentages be? So that will be interesting to hear from you guys. Okay. Is there anything else that we want to mention or talk about? No? Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's it. I guess that was a lot. Yeah. Trying to think here. Nope. Said that. I know. These things are so not rehearsed or anything. But I think that's what makes this podcast really good. Is they're not like so rigidly formatted and whatnot. I mean, I make myself a loose outline. I like to sit down with an outline and bullet points, but I want to touch on. But then within those bullet points, I like my thoughts and what comes out of my mouth to be really kind of fresh and in the moment and off the cuff and what I'm feeling. I think that makes it authentic, and and I just think I think just makes it better than writing this whole script out and you're going off a script. I mean, I do need an outline or I'll ramble, as you probably already figured that out with me. I will ramble and you'd be trying to muster your way through a 2-hour episode with me rather than an hour. So, yeah. But anyway, lots of things for you guys to think about and leave in the comments. And we really do like your input. I think that's what makes this podcast good, because we read your input and suggestions. Please leave your suggestions as well on any topics that you want me to talk on. I love that. I love getting suggestions from you guys. I want to know what you guys are thinking. I want to know what you're thinking about. I want to know what your thoughts are on things. I want to know what you're struggling with. I want to know what confuses you. I want to know what you feel strongly about. I want to know these things because a lot of these things make really good topics on here for us to discuss. And it's good for the community that we've built here at Tatter-a-fact. We've got a really great community and a really great thing going here with each other. And I love you guys. It's been awesome. So, all right. Great episode. And as always, please stay in the pursuit of happiness, and we will see you next time.